Okay, what do you need to include, or what research goes into the market analysis? Well, first you're going to have to identify your customers, and you're going to have to segment them out. And customer segmentation is very broad, but it can be go into very specific detail depending on the nature of your product, service, or idea that you're offering. But generally, you're going to have to understand demographic characteristics, socioeconomic status, geographic location, types of hobbies, the employment level, etc. All of these things help identify who is the customer, client, or end user for your product, service, or idea. Price. Okay, at what price point can you grab a certain number or percentage of your available target or customer market? Because economics teaches us that generally with a product, service, or idea, the higher the price, the lower the number of customers. But at a given utility rate, you're going to be able to maximize value by pricing it at a certain point that grabs the greatest number of potential customers, clients, or end users. So again, at what price point are you going to put your product, service, or idea that's going to grab that amount of value? And what justification do you have for that? What level of research, what level of testing did you see to determine what is the correct price point? Again, what's the market size? That means how large is the potential market you're trying to move into? Now, you basically here are trying to justify going into the market, because while your product, service, or idea might create a value proposition for a large number of individuals, you'll have to look at the potential return from providing that product, service, or idea. That is, what amount of income comes in from providing that versus how many of those individuals you would have to serve in order to meet the amount and type of value you desire. So if the market is enormous, then potentially you only have to grab a small percentage in order to justify your business. If the market is very small, then you have to grab a larger percentage in order to justify pursuing or exploiting that venture. What is the priority of the target or different customer segments that you're targeting with your product, service, or idea? When I say priority, I mean what is their drive to purchase your product, service, or idea? How likely or with what frequency are they going to use it? Are they going to purchase multiple products, use your service regularly or on a repeating basis, or is it a one-time and you're done type situation, or one time for an extended period of time? So this, again, you're going to have to justify how you came up with that. If it's a product that has a long life cycle, you're probably going to have a higher price to justify. If it's something that's reusable and continue to purchase, that might push the price down somewhat because you have recurring use. Or say an internet or software as a service business that has recurring users, you might be able to have a lower margin based on how the continued use of your product or recurring revenues going forward, and their lack of ability once they start using your product to change to another product. So all of these, willingness to purchase, numbers purchased, recurring nature of the revenue, etc. All of this goes into priority, and you're going to have to justify it as well. And then any specific strategic considerations that you have with this specific product, service, or idea. Anything strategic about the market, anything strategic about the particular customer base. Say strategically you're focusing on a niche market that has been largely ignored. Now, if you're able to grab enough market share of that niche market, then it may justify. But what is it strategically that allows you to appeal to this market, this niche market, rather than another? What if you're competing in a larger market and you somehow differentiate your product? What is the strategic differentiation, and what is the background of that differentiation that you need to reproduce or continue producing for your product to be viable, etc. So anyway, these 5 things: your customer segmentation, your pricing, the overall market size, the priority of your different segments, and then any strategic elements that you have to include there. All of this should be included within the market analysis.